Welcome to Helix webinar series. Today's session is on delivering frictionless experiences. We're going to be talking today about Helix Service Management 23.3 March update. Before we get the introductions and go through the panel, first of all, just a reminder for those that haven't used Zoom before, you will see the Q&A section at the bottom. If you do have any questions during this presentation and our demos, please pop them into the Q&A section and we will endeavour to answer those during this session, or we will go to the live Q&A at the end where we'll answer your questions live. So without further ado, Emma, I'm going to hand over to you to get us started.
Thank you so much, Sam. In today's webinar, we're going to be providing you with an update on BMC Helix Service Management 23.3, which was released at the end of last year. We're going to be doing a recap of some of the important features of this release, as well as give you an opportunity to understand more about some of the new enhancements which have just been brought out on the 8th of March, especially around BMC Helix GPT. We've got a packed agenda today, and I'm going to be joined by a number of our product managers. I have Deepak Rudra, who is the Principal Product Manager for BMC Helix Digital Workplace, Revathi Nair, who is the Principal Product Manager for BMC Helix Line of Business Solutions, and Madhav Mehra, who is the Principal Product Manager for BMC Helix GPT, Virtual Agent and Live Chat. They're going to be providing live demos and will be on standby to answer any questions that you have about this release. So let's just start by looking at the important capabilities of the 23.3 release. Everything we're building here is designed to help remove friction points, so we can help empower employees when they're requesting services or searching for knowledge. And with the introduction of Gen AI and large language models, this is absolutely transforming service management and accelerating the value of live chat and virtual agents to deliver conversational, human-like service interactions. Supplementing large language models with BMC Helix GPT is really going to help you achieve greater accuracy with less language training effort, as well as reducing the overall time to adoption. We're also helping you ingest an even wider variety of internal company information into Helix GPT so that you can leverage that company-wide knowledge across your organization and make it more valuable for your employees. With all the hype around virtual agents, we may think that the actual workplace portal is extinct. But every time your employee engages with a workplace portal or process, it's an opportunity to reinforce your company's culture, values, and priorities. And the systems that you use and the way they're deployed is very much a cultural statement. So we've continued to make it easier for our customers to configure BMC Helix Digital Workplace in a way that reflects your company values. So in our March update, we've made it simpler to tailor the experience for different types of employees based on their role and their location, so they see what's relevant to them. And let's remind you of our key differentiator, which is really to enable enterprises to realise the value of BMC Helix within the fastest time possible. And this is down to our low-code, no-code platform, which means that we're committed to take as much complexity out of service management so it can be easily adopted across your enterprise and used to really drive custom-built workflow apps. At the same time, we've worked extensively on building pre-configured solutions within the platform to deliver even greater levels of operational efficiency. And these are more than just templates, but they're end-to-end solutions which connect teams together. And one of the biggest use cases that we have is employee onboarding. And in our March update, we've continued to make further enhancements to employee onboarding and offboarding, with the introduction of out-of-the-box dashboards to improve reporting activities and provide even greater insights for senior leaders on the efficiency and effectiveness of onboarding and offboarding. And finally, we're seeing great momentum with security incident handling, which aligns tightly with industry and government standards, so that each phase of the incident management lifecycle, identification, investigation, response, and remediation, is methodically addressed. This solution is really the missing piece for many organizations' security, operations posture, and solutions. And it brings together the prevent and respond processes and associated teams, and provides regulatory audits and evidence needed and lessons learned. And finally, when we talk about fueling productivity, in terms of using live chat within BMC Helix Digital Workplace, this is a powerful way for an agent to engage directly with the end user and resolve an issue quickly. However, the time-consuming aspect is having to summarize that conversation and the resolutions which have been resolved. With BMC Helix GPT, you can automatically generate a high-quality summary of the case and ticket reviews and related chats, so that the client admins will be able to customize the GPT prompts to meet their requirements for summarization. So let's drill into this in a little bit more detail and start with virtual agents. So I'm going to hand over to Madhav, who's going to discuss with you the key developments that we've made with our virtual agents and how they're being powered by BMC Helix GPT to drive more human-like conversations out of the box, how they're utilizing the latest large language models, how the speed of deployment is getting faster. And we're also opening up Helix GPT and enabling you to train it on a wide range of internal resources, which is including SharePoint, Confluence, as well as BMC Helix knowledge articles. So I'm going to hand over to Madhav to talk about this in a bit more detail.
Thank you. I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to switch across a few windows here. And for those who are familiar with BMC Chatbot or Helix Virtual Agent, this is the same administration experience which you have seen. But now if you see, we've added a service provider called Helix GPT, and that allows you to prompt the AI instead of training the AI. So that will save administrative hours, in some cases months, for people to tune that. And now you can do that from a Helix GPT manager, which I will also show to you, right? So when you launch the chatbot itself, it looks very much like the old UI for now. When I improve that, I'll show you a preview of how the UI will change. But when you come and say, I want to get internet for my guests over here, I did not train the AI. I have just prompted it. You can provide guest Wi-Fi for users. And you need to capture these parameters like guest, location, the office location, and so on. So it will go through the same workflow that you're familiar with. It will use the same digital service catalog fields that you are familiar with, but it does that in a very fast manner without training, right? So instead of going through that demo, I will show you a preview of that new user experience, which will be coming to the digital workplace as well. So this is the digital workplace portal you're familiar with. In the search bar, you see there is how do I request parent leave? A recent search is now saved. And when you do that, it goes into the search UI, or you can optionally launch a Helix GPT UI. So as an administrator, you will be able to tell the system that always launch into a chat UI. So while that's loading, I know sometimes GPT takes time to respond. So I had that same question brought up here, right? So you see, instead of showing knowledge cards and saying, go read the knowledge article, we are now giving a very clear step-by-step answer to the people with the sources. So when they need, they can actually click out to that whole source and read it in detail, so they can verify this information. But it's a very focused answer coming from your approved knowledge sources like Helix Knowledge Management, or even SharePoint or Confluence. And down the road, we are going to add even more like Jira and Salesforce and other knowledge providers. So through 2024, we will expand the approved knowledge sources, and we will allow you to tune this from the Helix GPT manager. So I talked about avoiding training. So this is the generally available software that you can request an upgrade to. So starting 23.301, you can access this GPT manager. Here you will select your application. As you can see, all our applications will be adding GPT features. We can cover that separately. But once you select virtual agent, step 1, step 2, you set some guardrails. So for example, I added this guardrail, don't argue with the end users, because GPT can sometimes do that, right? That's famous. And then you create skills. So for example, here I have a preview skill. You may create a HR or a sales or a IT skill. And this is very modular, okay? So you will be able to choose different natural language providers. Right now, we are generally available with Azure OpenAI, where you bring your own API key, your own security, and your own privacy with Microsoft. In the future, we will support models hosted on Amazon Bedrock or Google Gemini. So you will be able to use those in the future. You will be able to choose which model you want to use. And then here is the magic. We are seeding these prompts for you. So you are not going to hire a prompt engineer. We all need to learn prompt engineering to a degree, but we have already written these prompts for you, right? And you can edit them. So you see, if the solution involves instructional steps, present them in a numbered list. That's what we exactly saw in the previous answer. If I switch back to that tab here, right, I saw a numbered answer. So that was just prompted. It may not be in the actual article in these steps, but we will always convert it to steps when GPT is doing that, right? So we have taken care of wiring up the information sources, wiring up digital service catalog, creating these prompts for you. So if somebody has a mouse touchpad issue, we can help them troubleshoot it. If there is a service to add a HR use case like add a family member, that is trained or prompted out of the box. And your effort is in setting up, configuring, and testing and tuning that Helix GPT, right? So these are the knowledge sources that are already available, and this will be expanded. So what I recommend as a next step is talk to your account managers about upgrading to the 23.301 release. And once that is scheduled, me and other people in BMC will be available to talk to you in more detail on how you start using this. And then your end users will see this kind of a chat experience on your HVA, you can embed it in DWP, you can put it everywhere. So this will improve our self-service experience. This will reduce the phone calls and the live chat sessions, right? That's the value we want to bring to all of you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Madhav. Now let's just move on to the other capability that we want to cover, which is around how you can use portals to deliver more tailored employee experience, the ability to fine-tune your content based on the user's role and location. And obviously this will accelerate self-service. Your employees will spend less time having to root through issues or root through portals and looking for information that isn't relevant to them. And also accelerate the ability to answer and fulfill employee requests through these more customized portals. So let me hand over to Deepak, who's going to give you an overview of how this works. Deepak.
Okay. Thank you, Emma. And thanks, Madhav, for the quick introduction there on Helix GPT. And then let me quickly start sharing my screen. So with this March release, we have done a significant amount of personalization, and then, that digital workplace be the single place for all the resources that employees need. Plus, additionally, it gives them more personalized touch, right? With this release, compared to what we previously had, you're going to start seeing that end users will now have personalized home pages. What that really means from the end user perspective is you already had entitlements, the availability of entitlements that people will be able to see catalog and knowledge according to the entitlements. But now we have extended that model to go even further and start leveraging that for having personal home pages. And we do understand that every organization needs to have different landing pages for for different roles and different geographic locations. So we continue to expand in that. And then we have taken a significant step in our 23.3 patch release. So the new joinee starting day one, it's a new hire portal, and you can see just directly get the relevant information. And as you can see, the my activity is basically hidden now, that you do not have my activity available anymore. You can easily hide that and then can personalize users to come back to the pages. So now this is about having a personalized homepage. If I just quickly log in, and then the second part is redirecting them if I hide my activity, really. So now, because Paul is a new joinee, would like to have access to a new application. So probably want to start from 18th and give the justification, I'm a new joinee, and submits the request. And the redirection post request submission is also going to be taken care, and then Paul is going to be rerouted to the portal from where he started. So you don't need to really have them show them all the home pages in your organization. You can just tailor the entire experience according to their roles. And the similar example that I would give you now to show you a difference is with another user who's basically an alumni and wants to go and get some documentation from the job experience, previous job experience with this, right? So let's log in with Isabella, who's in this use case is going to be the alumni and going to be logging into the alumni portal, right? So as you can see, just logging in the same environment with the own credentials and gets routed to the alumni center, really, right? Because that's what is really relevant for Isabella, right? Because she left the company and now she only needs to be looking at the alumni portal. So I can quickly request for a financial statement, which is again more personalized, more relevant to Isabella. She doesn't need all the information. So it captures all the information. That's a normal functionality. But the only thing that I want to show you is after the request is submitted, Isabella is going to be redirected to the alumni portal. So that's the way you can personalize. Everything else, like the catalog sections and all of that, already existed through an entitlement, right? And then the last example I'm going to give you now is an employee, right, who's still working and who's also an administrator, right? So I'm logging in with Alan, who is the administrator and currently employed with the organization. So this person logs in the same environment, and you're going to see a different page altogether, correct? So without the need of having all of them access, you can personalize their own experience and how they can basically land into each of these pages. And because I said this person is administrator, this is another enhancement we have done, is you're going to have cross launch to the administration portal right from this service menu drop down. Now, how it's done in the backend, let's quickly deep dive into it. That first part was your end user experience. Now let's go back to the admin experience, really. What is going to happen for admins? What's going to change? So you had navigation builder already in the studio capability before. In this release onwards, you'll start seeing that first thing, as I'm showing you, my activity can be hidden. Now you can easily hide it. And then you'll get a pop-up message saying why, it's an important aspect. You should be careful while hiding this and all. Right? All of that safeguarding you not to disable something which is an active usage, right? And then you used to have like a small hut symbol here, which used to depict your home page. Now that's gone, right? So that's no more there. You'll see a structure, and then you'll see of all the the studio pages, the external pages that you've integrated, or any embedded pages that you have. So you're going to see more organized structuring and notes for each page that you can define. And I'll show you how the notes is going to really work. But what I really want to show you is that home page is now going to be translated. If you already have created home page, it's going to be translated into a home page assignment automatically here. If you have not done this before, you will need to start from scratch, right? So what will happen, you'll start seeing these two new tabs. One is for the homepage assignment. Another one is for the post request redirection. As you saw me, when I submitted a request from my home portal, I was reverted back to home portal again. I can change that experience. So it's all configurable now. So you would see set of rules that you can define. In my example, you saw that for, Isabella was part of the alumni group. So Isabella was automatically routed to the alumni center. So I can quickly add any page and then set the rules here. Right? So, if I just remove the rules, I can basically reset the rules, right? And I can add the rules again. So I'm using my page entitlements here in this case. And if I don't have any page entitlements, I can just basically query all the people group, the entitlement group that I have in my organization. So it's going to be a top to bottom approach. The rules are going to be traversed from top to bottom, and going to pick whatever is most relevant according to the role of that individual, right? If none of these work, which we do not recommend, we always recommend you to have one page at the end, which is going to be a fallback page. If nothing works, then where do you route them? You do not really want to route them to any page not found. So a graceful ending, you need to consider always having one which is available to all, but that should be a last resort, really. But we have still safeguarded that. So even though you have hidden my activity, if it all fails, still my activity is going to show only in that particular session for that user. And then they can still navigate to my activity, but eventually once they log out, it's not going to be available at all to that user. But we really do not want them to be baffled by the case that there is no page available. But if you consider your designing of your rules properly and you have one page which is available to all, this can be easily avoided. The second, now you talk about the homepage. You already saw me, when I was going to Paul, homepage was this new hire portal. I can talk about now request redirection, which is what you saw me when I basically submitted Paul's request, request, I was rerouted to this same page. So now this is exactly the same thing, but it's going to work on the happen. The same way, in this use case, I have not made it very fancy, but you can according to your preference. In this use case, I'm actually showing new hires, a new, like where do they get redirected after request submission, which is a new hire page, and it's using the entitlements of the page. Or I can basically, if I remove the entitlement, then exactly I can just select any group from here, and that will be honored, right? And then this is how it's going to work. Same way for, for the alumni center, the post request redirection for anybody who's entitled for alumni center will be also the alumni center, right? So they will get routed. And if nothing works really, then they will be routed back to this page, which is a multi-column page. And then, it's open to all. So that's why it says the page is available to everyone. So that's,
let's make this session as interactive as possible. So obviously, but also thank you, Deepak, because this is a nice segue into the final piece that we wanted to cover. I think you gave a great illustration of how these portals can really be used to manage the employee life cycle, from new hire, day in the life events for an employee, right the way through to offboarding. And you're being able to deliver a consistent brand experience, but obviously you're delivering different types of content based on where that employee is in their journey with your organization. So thank you. And so therefore, I'm going to talk to you very quickly about offboarding. And as we talk about the ability to use Helix 23.3 to drive greater connections across your organization, one of the biggest use cases is onboarding and offboarding employees. And Revathi is going to take you through a little bit more detail on what the offboarding, the pre-configured offboarding solution that we have created within this release, and also the manager dashboards that we've also created, which will give you a very clear view of how onboarding activities are performing, where there's the opportunity to find any ways to streamline and improve the processes and remove bottlenecks. So I'm going to hand over to Revathi, who's going to show you how this works within Helix.
Thanks, Emma. I'm just going to share my screen too. Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, so like Emma mentioned, I'm going to cover the offboarding and onboarding flows. We support the out-of-the-box full employee life cycle, starting from onboarding, the regular day of life type requests to offboarding right now. And as part of the 23.3.00 release, we also included offboarding out of the box content. So I'm going to cover that, plus some of the new features that are part of the 23.3.01 release, which was last Friday. So offboarding is something that we usually is seen as sometimes that's a little neglected. But so that's why we wanted to make sure that we had this comprehensive workflow that is available out of the box because of various reasons, right? So one of it is that you don't have to make sure that since this is a completely orchestrated workflow, you don't have to make sure that your managers or HR is fully trained on it. We also want to make sure that there isn't any security holes. So for example, once the employee leaves, and is an alumni, they should not have access to certain environments or sites. And we want to make sure that all those sort of activities are handled before they have left the company. The other thing is that we want to make sure that the exiting employee and the manager and HR have that smooth experience, that good experience throughout the process, because your alumni could be your next new hire, and you want to make sure that they continue to have a good relationship with the company. So before I get into the demo, I just wanted to go through the workflow real quickly, so it's a little bit easier to understand. What we support as part of the out-of-the-box content is the voluntary separation by the employee. So this is something that's triggered by the employee themselves by going into DWP. And once they have triggered it, the request goes to the manager and the HR, who have to then make sure that they have a discussion with the exit employee and make sure that they want to have those retention discussions and make sure they want to continue with the process. If that is the case, that's when they approve this request and the rest of the offboarding process is triggered. Which includes a lot of, manual and automated tasks and to-dos to different departments, to the employee themselves, to the manager and HR. So it could be things like making sure that the facilities gets the access badge back. It could be making sure that IT access is revoked and that IT assets are returned, any financial settlement that has to be done, and even things like if the manager wants to set up a farewell party, it's all of that is covered as part of the offboarding request. And once all of those to-dos tasks are completed and the offboarding process is complete, the exit employee becomes an alumni and they get access to the alumni portal, which you kind of got a sneak preview from Deepak, which I'm just going to go into that a little bit too. So right now I'm logged in. So just as the manager on DWP, I'm going to show you how the separation request is triggered. It's a little slower than expected, but this is a demo environment, so yeah. So here we are. So we this is the out of the box request that's available for offboarding. And as part of the request, it's already pulled in all the information we'll be able to enter via releasing the request, the notice period and things like that. But one of the important parts here is the personal email address, which is what will be, where the alumni will get sent the email to register for the alumni portal. So once you go ahead and submit, that creates a request in BWF, which then the agent can work on. Right now, I'm in BWF and have opened the separation case that has come through. So just going through the case from the top, right? So there is this view offboarding request option where you can see all the details about the offboarding request of the employee itself. So including the email ID that they had used to, that they will be sending the alumni details to, portal details to. We have the exit details, so we can see if there was a discussion on retention, what their last working date is, what is their notice period. And then you can also see in terms of have the different departments given approval. So has the IT department did they get the assets back? Did they, for example, the laptop back? Do they approve it? Is there anything pending from facilities or finance? And once all that is approved, that's when, and once all the to-dos and tasks are completed, that's when you would see this case being resolved. On the right, you can see all the work that has happened on the case, including any communication that we had with the employee themselves. You can also see some of the different documents that have been created in the back end automatically. So you have the resignation letter, the service certificate, the relieving letter, and you can click into this and have a preview of it. You don't have to download it. And then you can see all the checklist items and the different tasks that have been created. So checklists would be we already have an offboarding checklist out of the box. You can very easily configure it to what it needs to be for your own needs. But this is something that these are things that you just want to keep track of without having to create a full task or to do that has to be assigned to someone, right? So it's as simple as just editing it and adding details. I could add a comment here and saving it. And it's just things that I want to keep track of as an agent that has to get done on this case. I'll give a quick peek on the task flow also. It's super tiny because it's so comprehensive. But it really does take care of a lot of the things that you would want to consider out of the box. And you can see that different tasks and to-dos have been assigned to different people. So there's one to-do to Natalia, who is the one who had requested a separation request to return the workplace assets. There's something for the her manager itself to make sure that project clearance is done. And for HR, for example, to do an exit interview. But you can also see work orders being created into IT to make sure that the IT assets have been collected. And all along that, you still can maintain key access for this to make sure that just the right people or the support groups have access to this. I'm just going to go back to the case itself. And while it loads, I will show you the Alumni Service Center. So this is the Alumni portal. This can again be configured, like Deepak said, to meet your needs, but it helps to keep that relationship active or active with the alumni. You can add FAQs here. You can add details, news about the company itself, and they can raise, even after they've left, they can raise common requests or if a general inquiry so that they still can get their requests answered. I'm going to search for Carlos, who is who's an alumni right now. So Carlos had raised a request for an employment verification letter. So you can see that it came in through their personal email address. But then you also, when you go to the related person, you'll be able to see that Carlos's old company account details are also included here, so that agent has have that history for them. So it's all linked together. Okay. So going back to, so those are that's the quick overview of the offboarding flow. As part of 23.3.01, we also made some changes to the overall features that are available as part of the out-of-the-box onboarding experience. Most of these features revolve around making sure that the manager's life is a little bit easier. They can see the details that they need quickly. Some of the features were around making changes in the onboarding portal, which is, if you see here, this is the onboarding portal. You can see that we have now got new stat cards here, which are clickable and can help easily filter the view of where the new hire is in terms of progress in their case. We have all new indicators here too, so that the onboarding manager has a quick visual view of what's happening, what might be overdue, which tasks might have reached their SLAs, what need attention. We also have extra filtering options which map to the onboarding experience. So things like employment type or location can be used to filter this. And we also have quick links. This doesn't show it, but you can also quickly link through to the case itself from here. So a lot of new features for the onboarding manager to quickly understand what's happening with a particular new hire case. Another view, some of the other changes we did is we have now got an out-of-the-box onboarding dashboard that is available, which again gives a lot of metrics to the manager on what's happening during the new hire process. So they can filter on a country and location and a specific time period and be able to see all the stats around what are the total number of open requests, what are overdue, what's are in progress, and what is the average time to onboard. So, and if you have surveys that are being run, you'll also be able to see the average survey rating. At the bottom, you'll also be able to see all the new hires that fit the criteria, and you can click into it to see a drill down view of where are that particular person is in terms of the tasks that have to be completed. So what are in progress, what are completed, what's past due, and just general overall information about the employee themselves, the new hire themselves. So yeah, those are the updates from the 23.3.0 and 01 releases. I will check the chat to see if there are any questions, and I'll hand it back to you, Emma.
And just to conclude, it was something that we touched on earlier around improving agent productivity. So just very simply, we just wanted to make you aware of the fact that within this release, you have the ability to use Helix GPT to summarize the chat sessions so that your agents don't need to be spending time and effort manually writing that summary. It automatically gets generated for them. And you can also customize those summaries with the GPT prompts based on your specific business requirements. So that concludes the session today, the main part of the session, which was the presentation and the demos. Once again, if you haven't upgraded, we would really encourage you to start your upgrade journey as soon as possible and please contact your account manager and customer success representative to start that process. And obviously everything that we've covered here is also on the docs site. I think, Sam, you'll be providing a Q&A to the audience anyway after this session, and we'll provide you the actual links to where you can find the documentation on these specific capabilities. So thank you to all our presenters today, and I think we're now ready for any questions or anything that we wanted to discuss, or open up the session for any questions that need to be addressed. Sam, shall I hand back to you?
Yeah, so I've just given the opportunity for everyone to talk, so you can either raise your hand or put something into the Q&A section of Zoom. And apologies, I know there was some bandwidth issues. It was a little bit robotic, some of the presentations we're doing today. So if there is any questions, we will obviously be providing the recording. Do reach out either to myself or one of our PMs. And I will be sharing out the slides. I'll be sharing out the recording, which will go onto YouTube, and also everywhere else we've got this information that might be quite useful. So don't worry about taking notes. If you have, then great, but I will be sending everything out. So I see we have a question. Deepak, you're answering that question. Do you want to just take it live? I know it's anomalous attendee, just around 23.3 cloud. Is it only for also on-premise as well as SaaS? Do you want to go live?
Yeah, so the patch 23.3 SaaS only, and then the patch 1, which we just talked about, is released for SaaS, followed by in a couple of weeks for on-premise too. So look out for the announcements there once it is released for on-premise. So you'll have option to directly go to patch 1 if you're on-premise.
Thank you, Deepak. I'm just writing the note into the chat because we will share this Q&A. Does anybody else have any other questions if you're still on? I'm guessing all of our product managers and Emma has done a fantastic job that there is no questions. There's obviously a lot more we can always demo. We will be doing these on a regular basis. I know Emma and I have been speaking about getting the latest releases regularly, so we will be sharing a lot more webinars and content via either posts, blogs, and also webinars or sessions. So yeah, we welcome
will be
your
presenting
feedback.
it, Emma.
Pardon?
GPT will be
GPT presented for us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
then I get a lot of freedom then.
Or at least my role.
Yeah.
You know.
Excellent. Was there any other takeaways? I guess I'll open it up to the panel. We don't have any questions, and thank you, Ahmed, for your feedback to say the session was useful. If we don't have any questions, was there any final takeaways or anything else that the product managers would want to share of anything that's particularly coming up?
So there's a question, can they have just installed virtual agent? Can that installation be used by Helix GPT? So it's the other way around in a way. Helix virtual agent uses Helix GPT as a natural language understanding, natural language response engine. So if you are on the 23.3.01 patch, you can request for Helix GPT service to be turned on, and you can plug in an Azure OpenAI key and you can start using it. So what we can do is just, if you can reach out to your customer success people or your account team, we can set up a deep dive into this and walk you through those steps.
Teresa, feel free. I did see you were off mute. Did you have any other questions additional to this?
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll just do a quick reminder. If anyone does have any final questions, I'll give it a minute or so. Otherwise, we will conclude and give you a little bit back of time. I know we scheduled an hour, but sometimes it can be a little bit quicker. So if there isn't anything further, we'll close the call. Okay,
I'll just make another note here. There was a question Corina had asked about live chat support in HVA. So when you do turn on Helix GPT with HVA, in this first patch, it cannot fall back to live agent right now.
I know.
Available in the second patch. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. That is the intent. That is the intent, is to get people to start developing, start testing it. And Corina and team are one of our early adopters, so we thank them for that. And yeah, just, there is a whole, sequence of upgrade, start testing it, start using it. So we wanted to be ahead, get it in your hands, and then sometime by the May, June timeframe, you should be ready to go to production with this. That's the goal.
Yeah, I completely understand, because we do have several internal meetings between our teams and the BMC teams. I just wanted to bring this up.
Thank you.
Especially taking into consideration, I just raised the request for enhancement a couple of minutes ago, but it's okay. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. There's another question. What dates are these features available? All the features here are available on 23.3.01 first patch, which was released March 8th, last Friday. So you can schedule that upgrade and they will be available in your environment.